Life has a funny way of teaching us lessons, doesn't it? The more we try to control every little detail, our outcomes, the timing, how others respond, the more frustrated and exhausted we become. We plan every step, thinking that if we just try harder, push more, and never let go, things will eventually fall into place. But what if I told you that the opposite is true? What if the key to everything you want isn't in pushing harder, but in letting go? The moment you stop forcing, stop grasping, and start trusting, everything begins to flow effortlessly. It's not about giving up, it's about realizing where your true power lies. Centuries ago, the Stoics discovered this profound truth. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic minds, taught us that accepting what comes naturally and not wasting energy fighting against reality is the path to peace. He understood that struggling against things beyond our control only leads to unnecessary suffering. Today, we're going to explore this powerful mindset shift and how it can transform your approach to success, relationships, and even your own peace. As we go through life, we often find ourselves obsessing over results. We wait for that job offer, hope that a relationship works out, or stress over whether our efforts will pay off. We convince ourselves that if we just work a little harder, push a little more, maybe we can force things to go our way. But here's the catch. The more we cling to a specific outcome, the more anxious we become. The process stops feeling fulfilling, and our happiness starts to depend on things we. This is where the Stoics were way ahead of us. They understood that suffering comes not from external events, but from our attachment to the way we want things to unfold. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, taught that it's not the events themselves that harm us, but our expectations. He famously said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather wish that what happens happens as it should, and you will be happy." In other words, the Stoic approach is about releasing our attachment to specific outcomes. Instead of tying our happiness to a goal we can't fully control, we focus on the process. We concentrate on what we can control: our actions, our discipline, our mindset, and we let go of the rest. This shift in perspective is what allows us to find peace and fulfillment in the journey, rather than waiting for a distant destination to bring us joy. Imagine an artist working on a masterpiece. If the artist is constantly worried about making every brushstroke perfect or about how others will judge their work, they'll never get into the flow of creativity. But when they detach from the final result and simply immerse themselves in the act of painting, something magical happens. They enter a state of flow where the work becomes effortless, and ironically, that's when they create their best art. The same principle applies to everything in life, whether it's work, relationships, or personal growth. When we stop fixating on how things must turn out, we give ourselves the freedom to enjoy the process. This is especially true when it comes to relationships. Have you ever witnessed someone trying too hard to impress another person? Their energy feels desperate, needy, and quite frankly, off-putting. When we're attached to a specific outcome, such as winning someone's approval, we lose sight of what's truly important. But when we let go of that attachment, we allow the relationship to develop naturally, without the pressure of needing it to be a certain way. That's when we create space for genuine connection. So, the Stoics teach us that the key to living with ease and manifesting the life we desire isn't about forcing things to go our way. It's about aligning our actions with our values, accepting what comes, and letting go of our tight grip on the outcome. When we stop fighting reality and embrace what comes naturally, we make room for the things we truly desire to manifest effortlessly. And now, let's dive into how we can start applying these Stoic principles to our daily lives, so you can begin to experience the freedom and peace that comes from trusting the process. Because when we focus on what we can control and release the rest, we don't just get what we want, we attract the life we deserve. Let's explore how to put this into practice. In the pursuit of relationships, many people find themselves desperately trying to impress others. They overextend, force conversations, and push for approval, believing that if they try hard enough, the result will be just as they want. But what happens when this behavior dominates? It often pushes people away. The more we try to force something, the less natural it feels, and the more disconnected we become from the very people we are trying to connect with. On the other hand, when someone is confident, at ease with themselves, and not obsessed with a particular outcome, they naturally attract others. This isn't by accident. It happens because they are not driven by fear or desperation. They trust that whatever is meant to happen will unfold in its own time. This is the power of detachment, an idea the Stoics mastered. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, often reminded himself to embrace this mindset. He wrote, "Accept what is given, and make the best use of it." He understood that the key to true peace lies in releasing the need to control every detail. The moment we free ourselves from this need, we allow things to unfold naturally. This principle not only applies to relationships, but to every aspect of life, especially when it comes to success. Now, let's talk about success. So many people live their lives as if success is a rigid checklist. Graduate by a certain age, earn a certain amount of money, marry by a certain time, achieve a particular status. But when life doesn't follow the timeline we've set, many spiral into self-doubt. The Stoics understood that success isn't linear, and it certainly isn't rigid. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Life is full of twists, setbacks, and unexpected opportunities. If you're to attach to one outcome, you may miss the chance for something even better. Take a moment to reflect. What are you holding onto tightly? Is there a specific goal or expectation that is causing you stress? Now, imagine what would happen if you release that grip, not by giving up, but by trusting that whatever happens, you will be okay. This is detachment. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop needing things to go a certain way in order to feel at peace. So how can you start practicing this mindset in your daily life? The first step is to remind yourself every day that outcomes are beyond your control. What you can control is your effort, your discipline, and your mindset. Second, reframe your thinking. Instead of saying, "I need this to happen," shift to, "I trust that whatever happens will be for my growth." Finally, focus on the present moment. The more you immerse yourself in now, the less power the future holds over you. Life has a way of throwing challenges at us. Some days everything flows effortlessly, and other days it feels like the universe is working against you. But the difference between those who crumble under pressure and those who thrive isn't luck, it's mindset. Your mindset shapes how you experience the world around you. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely put it, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. If you don't learn to master your mind will master you. While you can't always control what happens to you, the economy, other people's actions, or unexpected obstacles, you can control your reactions. In fact, how you react will determine the course of your life. The key, then, is to embrace the Stoic practice of detachment and trust that, no matter what comes your way, you'll navigate it with grace. As we move forward, let's explore more actionable steps on how you can fully embrace this mindset and transform your approach to success, relationships, and life itself. Because once you understand the power of letting go, the journey becomes not just more manageable, but enjoyable. Let's dive deeper into how to turn this philosophy into tangible strategies for living a life of peace and purpose. Real power doesn't lie in how life unfolds around you, but in how you choose to respond to it. This is where true mastery comes in. When you shift your mindset from simply reacting to responding, everything changes. You are no longer at the mercy of your circumstances. You are in control of how you interpret them. The great psychologist William James, often called the father of modern psychology, once said, "The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another." This is precisely the principle the Stoics taught. It's not the events themselves that cause us distress, but the meaning we assign to them. The Stoics believe that we don't have to believe every thought that enters our minds. We don't have to let every difficulty define who we are. Instead, we can. Mastering your mindset is a transformative journey that requires consistent practice. One powerful tool for this is reframing, the ability to step back and view challenges from a fresh perspective. Imagine a scenario at work. You're struggling, making mistakes, and feeling the weight of your boss's expectations. It's easy to slip into a fixed mindset, thinking, "I'm terrible at this, I'll never improve. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this job." This is where self-doubt takes over, trapping you in a cycle of frustration. But what if, instead, you shifted your perspective? What if you said to yourself, "I'm learning. Every mistake is a lesson. The pressure is pushing me to grow." This is the essence of a growth mindset. It transforms every setback into an opportunity for development. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, believed that each challenge is a chance to practice virtues such as patience, resilience, and wisdom. Seneca famously said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor strengthens the body." Just like lifting weights, we don't grow unless we challenge ourselves. But let's be honest, mastering your mindset doesn't happen overnight. It's a daily practice. A simple but effective way to start is by paying attention to your inner dialogue. When stress or adversity strikes, are you feeding your mind with negativity, fear, and self-doubt? Or are you training yourself to see obstacles as opportunities? Think of your mind as a garden. What you plant will grow. Fear and anxiety will spread if you feed them. But if you plant seeds of strength, clarity, and resilience, those qualities will bloom. The choice is in your hands. Gratitude is another powerful tool for strengthening your mindset. In difficult times, it's easy to focus on what's going wrong. But the Stoics, particularly Epictetus, reminded us that happiness doesn't come from external circumstances, it comes from within. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. By cultivating gratitude, you shift your focus to what's going well, even amid the chaos. This simple shift not only builds resilience, but fosters a sense of calm and purpose. Setting boundaries is another key aspect of mental strength. We can't control everything around us, but we can control where we invest our time and energy. Are you focused on what truly matters, or are you letting distractions and demands pull you in all directions? Learning to say no to what drains you will help preserve your mental strength for the challenges that truly deserve your attention. As you continue developing your mindset, one critical skill is learning to stay present. Stress often arises when we dwell on the past or worry about the future. But the only moment we truly control is the present one. Next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, what can I do right now to move forward? This question can pull you from panic and refocus your energy on what truly matters. The Stoics practiced mindfulness and presence with a simple yet profound message. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, said Marcus Aurelius. When we focus on what we can't change or worry about what might happen, we lose touch with the present. By returning to the present moment, we regain control over our actions and mindset. Patience is another Stoic virtue that's crucial for growth. It's difficult, especially when you're working towards something significant, and it feels like results are taking too long. In today's fast-paced world, we often expect immediate results. But the Stoics understood that things of true value take time to develop. As Epictetus wisely said, no great thing is created suddenly. Just like a tree, No matter how much we want it to grow faster, we cannot rush the process. Similarly, in life, success requires time, patience, and trust in the process. Trusting in the timing of life can be incredibly freeing. When we accept that everything unfolds in its own time, we release ourselves from unnecessary stress. Life follows its own rhythm, and when we align with that rhythm, we find peace. Think of a young artist working tirelessly, not yet recognized. Instead of getting frustrated, they trust that every effort is preparing them for something greater. We live in a culture obsessed with instant gratification, but the Stoics remind us that true rewards often come to those who are willing to wait and work for them. Whether it's relationships, personal growth, or mastering a skill, patience is required. Socrates said, "To do is to be." Growth is found not just in the end result, but in the process itself. If you're always focused on when something will happen, you'll miss out on who you're becoming along the way. The journey is where transformation occurs. But how do you stay patient when it feels like nothing is happening? The Stoics would tell you to focus on what is within your control. You can't control timing, but you can control your actions. Keep showing up, putting in the work, and growing. Trust that if something is meant for you, it will come at the right time. Marcus Aurelius also taught us the power of acceptance. Accept the things too, which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together. Instead of resisting life's timing, embrace it. If things aren't happening as quickly as you'd like, perhaps it's because you're still becoming the person who is ready for them. Have you ever noticed that the more you chase something, the further it seems to slip away? Whether it's a job, a relationship, or success, the more desperate you become, the more elusive it feels. The universe almost seems to pull back, but when you act with purpose and calm confidence, things start to align naturally. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This is the essence of purposeful action. Desperate action comes from fear of failure, fear of missing out, but purposeful action is grounded in clarity and strength. When you know who you are, your actions become deliberate and calm. Take to people searching for a job. The first person is desperate, applying everywhere, panicking over every rejection. The second person is calm, applying to positions that align with their skills and values. They don't obsess over rejection, but view each experience as a lesson. Who do you think is more likely to find success? The calm, purposeful person who acts with clarity. The same principle applies to relationships. Desperation and seeking validation often leads to disappointment, but when you approach relationships with self-respect, you attract healthier, more fulfilling connections. People are drawn to those who are secure in themselves, not to those who are desperate for attention. Aristotle spoke of eudaimonia, or living with purpose and fulfillment. True happiness comes not from chasing external achievements, but from aligning your actions with your values. When you act with wisdom and integrity, the outcomes will take care of themselves. By acting with purpose instead of reacting from fear, you begin to make better decisions. Like a seasoned chess player, you'll move with intention, seeing the bigger picture. Life, like chess, requires patience and strategy. So, how do you shift from desperation to purpose? First, clarify your why. Are you acting out of fear, or are you acting because you truly want something? Second, slow down. Desperation rushes, purpose moves with patience. Not every decision needs an immediate answer. Take time to reflect and choose wisely. Finally, trust yourself. When you trust your own judgment and remain grounded in your values, everything else will align. Success is not about chasing it. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts it by staying true to your purpose. As you learn to trust life's timing and embrace patience, you'll find yourself making decisions that align with your deepest values, moving toward the life you're meant to live. As we delve deeper into this journey, let's explore how embracing discomfort can be the key to personal growth. Stay tuned as we move toward understanding the Stoic principle of embracing hardships with open arms. To force things into place can often feel like a futile struggle. The harder you push, the more things seem to slip through your fingers. But when you act with confidence, when your actions align with your true purpose, opportunities seem to naturally come your way. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." A lot of desperation comes from imagined fears. What if I don't succeed? What if I fail? But the truth is, you are stronger than you think. You don't need to scramble or fight to make things happen that are meant for you. Instead, act with purpose, move with confidence, and watch how life starts to align in your favor. Have you ever felt completely exhausted from trying to control every aspect of your life? You plan, you push, you strategize, yet somehow life still doesn't unfold the way you expect. It's frustrating, right? You try to make people act a certain way, control situations, predict every possible outcome, and yet, despite your best efforts, things don't seem to go according to plan. The more you try to grip life tightly, the more it slips away. But here's the paradox. The moment you let go, that's when life starts to work in your favor. The Stoics understood this paradox deeply. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Think about that for a moment. True freedom doesn't come from trying to control everything around you. It comes from letting go of the need to control what you cannot control. The more energy you spend trying to manage things that are outside your control, other people's opinions, the future, the past, the more you drain yourself. But when you shift your focus to what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your responses, you reclaim your power. Take relationships, for example. Have you ever tried to change someone? Maybe you wanted a friend, a partner, or even a family member to be more understanding, more supportive, more aligned with your expectations. But no matter how hard you tried, they stayed the same. That's because people are not ours to control. We can communicate, set boundaries, and choose who we allow into our lives, but we can't force someone to change. When you release that need to control others, you free yourself from frustration. You allow relationships to unfold naturally. This principle extends to success as well. So many people believe that if they just try hard enough, if they just push a little harder, they'll eventually force success to come. But the Stoics remind us that this approach rarely works. Success, like all things, flows naturally when we align ourselves with the process, not when we force things to happen. If you spend all your time focusing on the destination, on the results, you miss out on the beauty of the journey. Life, in its wisdom, has its own timeline. Just as a plant doesn't rush to grow, your goals and ambitions will bloom at their own pace when you trust the process. It's like trying to catch the wind. No matter how hard you run, you can't grasp it. But if you slow down, if you allow yourself to be present in the moment, the wind will carry you further than you could have ever imagined. So how can you stop forcing things and start embracing life as it comes? The first step is to accept that not everything is in your control. When you release the need for perfection, for immediate results, you open the door for real progress. Second, trust the process. Focus on what you can control: your attitude, your actions, your responses, and let go of everything else. Life has its own way of unfolding, and sometimes all you need to do is trust that what is meant for you will come in its own time. And lastly, be present. Don't get lost in the outcome. Enjoy the journey, learn from it, and grow through it. Success doesn't have to be rushed. It is found in the patience of steady progress. Just like a tree grows slowly but surely. As we move forward in this journey, let's explore how the Stoics taught us to embrace adversity and how the greatest growth often comes from the challenges we face. Stay tuned as we dive into the next principle of Stoic resilience and wisdom. They just push harder, believing that if they work relentlessly, they'll reach their goals faster. But there's a crucial distinction between effort and control. It's true you should absolutely work towards your goals, but when you obsess over every tiny detail, stress about timing, and fear failure, you only create resistance. This is something the Stoics deeply understood. As Seneca wisely said, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." What Seneca means is this: when you fight against the natural flow of life, you create unnecessary struggle. But when you trust the process and focus on what is within your power, things unfold much more easily. Imagine this scenario. You're preparing for an important interview. You've done the research, practiced your responses, and you're ready. But instead of trusting in your preparation, you begin to overthink. What if they ask me a question I don't know? What if I mess up? What if I don't get the job? Now, instead of walking in with confidence, your mind shifts from calm to anxiety. You start walking into that interview tense, second-guessing yourself. That overwhelming need for control is actually hindering your performance. But if you stop, take a deep breath, remind yourself that you've done the work, and let go of the outcome, everything changes. You walk in relaxed, present, and more importantly, much more likely to succeed. So, how do you start letting go of control and finding this inner peace? Step 1. Recognize what is within your power. The Stoics taught the dichotomy of control. There are things we can influence and things we cannot. Trying to control what is beyond our reach only leads to frustration. For example, you cannot control other people's actions or decisions, but you can control how you react to them. The first step is to acknowledge what you can and cannot control. Step 2. Practice acceptance. Life won't always go according to plan, and that's okay. Sometimes, detours lead us to better destinations than we ever expected. Think about the times in your life when things didn't go as planned, but later, you realized it was exactly what you needed. In those moments, life was teaching you to let go and trust that you are being guided in the right direction. Step 3. Build trust not just in life, but in yourself. This is perhaps the most critical aspect. Trusting yourself. Trust that you can handle whatever comes your way, even if it's not what you expected. There's power in knowing that, no matter the outcome, you are strong enough to navigate through it. Think of people who seem to attract success, opportunities, and even happiness effortlessly. It's not that they have some secret advantage. No, it's their mindset, the way they think, the way they carry themselves, and the way they see the world shapes their reality. They've learned how to let go of control and allow things to unfold naturally. They trust the process, trust themselves, and trust that the universe will bring them what they need when the time is right. The Stoics believed that this trust was the key to true freedom. In fact, Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoics, said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." The obstacles you face, when approached with the right mindset, become the very things that help you grow and move forward. This is where the real power lies, when you stop trying to control every outcome and instead focus on what you can do in the present moment. You'll find that the path forward becomes clearer, smoother, and more fulfilling. As you continue on your journey, you may notice that the moments of frustration, fear, and doubt start to fade. The more you practice letting go, the more you free yourself from unnecessary stress and struggle. Life becomes less about the chase and more about being present, acting with purpose, and trusting that everything is unfolding just as it should. In the next section, we'll explore the power of self-awareness and how it can lead to more meaningful success and personal growth. Stay tuned to learn how understanding yourself deeply can unlock the path to fulfillment and inner peace. In a world where abundance flows to some people almost effortlessly, it seems that others are constantly caught in a struggle. No matter how hard they work, they can't seem to break through. But here's the truth. It's not about luck. It's about the energy you bring into your life. Those who focus on what they lack, whether it's money, opportunities, or success, often find themselves stuck in a cycle of scarcity. This is something the Stoics understood long before modern psychology confirmed it. Epictetus, a key Stoic philosopher, said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." True abundance, according to Epictetus, isn't about hoarding money or collecting achievements like trophies. It's about recognizing that you already have everything you need to live a fulfilling life. When you stop operating from a mindset of scarcity, believing that you never have enough, you make room for more to come to you naturally. Imagine this. Two people walk into the same room. The first person is consumed by everything they don't have. They compare themselves to others, feel like they're falling behind, and believe that success is always just out of reach. Their energy is heavy, their words are filled with doubt, and without realizing it, they're unknowingly repelling opportunities. Now, picture the second person. They walk in with the belief that they have enough knowledge, enough skills, enough opportunities ahead of them. Their energy is light, they engage confidently, and they build connections naturally. By the end of the day, they walk away with new possibilities, new connections, and perhaps even a few opportunities that weren't there before. The difference? One person was living in scarcity, while the other was living in abundance. This concept isn't just about money or career success. It applies to relationships, happiness, and even time. If you constantly feel like there's never enough love, never enough time, never enough good people in the world, your mind will search for evidence to support that belief. You will find ways to prove that there's simply not enough. But what happens when you shift your focus? When you start believing that you have enough of everything, suddenly you begin to see opportunities everywhere. You recognize the kindness in others, the possibilities in each moment, and the blessings that already exist in your life. As psychologist William James once said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes." This is where the real power lies when you train your mind to focus on abundance, to recognize that what you need is already within reach. Everything changes. You begin to attract more of what you want, and your life starts to shift in ways you never imagined. The Stoics, long before modern psychology, knew that our perceptions shape our reality. Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic philosopher, believed that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. In other words, how you view the world directly impacts how you experience it. If you choose to see the world through the lens of abundance, you start to create an environment where good things naturally flow to you. But it's not just about thinking positively or wishful thinking. It's about aligning your thoughts with reality, seeing the opportunities and the gifts that already surround you, and using them to move forward. The law of attraction, as it's often called today, is not about just visualizing success. It's about shifting your mindset so that you act from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. So, how do you begin to shift your mindset and embrace abundance? It starts with a simple realization. The more you focus on what you have, rather than what you lack, the more you'll begin to see how much is already at your fingertips. When you practice gratitude and appreciate the small wins in life, you train your mind to see possibilities instead of limitations. As you continue on your journey, remember that life is not a race. It's not about how much you accumulate, how many achievements you stack up, or how fast you can get to the finish line. It's about embracing the present moment, recognizing the abundance around you, and trusting that by doing so, you'll create more of it in your life. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into how understanding your emotions can help you navigate the challenges you face, and how emotional intelligence can lead to even greater success. Stay tuned to learn how mastering your emotions is key to living a life of true abundance. When you practice gratitude, confidence, and trust in life, you begin to shift your entire reality. It's not magic, it's perception. What you focus on grows. The more you focus on abundance, the more it will flow into your life. On the other hand, if you focus on what's missing, you'll find that scarcity becomes your constant companion. Take a moment and think about a musician who approaches their career with a scarcity mindset. They constantly worry that there aren't enough opportunities, that the industry is too competitive, that they'll never make it. Every rejection feels like confirmation of their worst fears. Because of this, they play it safe. They hesitate to take risks and often miss out on breakthroughs. Their fear holds them back from embracing opportunities that could propel them forward. Now, imagine a different musician, one who embraces an abundance mindset. This musician sees every rejection as redirection. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to improve. They take more risks, meet more people, and eventually find success, not because they're luckier, but because they embody abundance rather than fear. This is the power of perception. It's not about the external circumstances. It's about how you see and approach the world. The Stoic philosophers, like Epictetus and Seneca, knew this well. They understood that our reality is shaped by our thoughts and attitudes. Epictetus often said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The musician who reacts with fear and doubt versus the one who responds with confidence and belief in abundance shows how our mindset directly influences our outcomes. So, how do you begin embodying abundance in your own life? The first step is to practice gratitude. Instead of focusing on what's missing, shift your attention to what's already here. When you appreciate what you have, you start to attract more of it. This isn't just about material things, it's about recognizing the richness in your relationships, your health, your opportunities, and the small joys that surround you. Next, act as if you already have enough. Move through life with the confidence that opportunities are everywhere. Even if you don't have everything figured out, trust that you are enough and that you are on the right path. When you take action from this place of abundance, the energy you radiate shifts, and you naturally start to attract more opportunities. Finally, release attachment. Trust that what's meant for you will come not through force, but through alignment with your actions and beliefs. The Stoics understood that true success is not about pushing and forcing outcomes, but about trusting in the process and being at peace with the journey. Have you ever found yourself obsessing over a goal, pushing harder and harder, only to feel like you're running in circles? You do everything right, follow every step, and yet the results don't show up as quickly as you'd hoped. It's frustrating, isn't it? In our culture, we've been taught that success is all about effort, about never stopping, never letting go. But here's something most people don't realize. There's a difference between aligned action and desperate action. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "Effort and patience will achieve more than force and anxiety." Sometimes, the key to progress is knowing when to act and when to step back. You can't force success to happen, no matter how hard you push. The real power lies in aligning your actions with your beliefs and letting things unfold naturally. In a world that glorifies the hustle and grind, we often forget that true progress comes not from relentless effort, but from mindful action. This is where the Stoics excelled. They understood that while action is necessary, patience and wisdom are just as important. So, the next time you find yourself overwhelmed with frustration, remember that sometimes stepping back and recalibrating your approach is the most powerful thing you can do. Instead of forcing things to happen, trust that your aligned actions will lead you to the right place at the right time. As we continue on this journey, we'll explore how to cultivate the patience and wisdom needed to take aligned action and trust the process. Stay tuned for the next step in living a life of abundance and fulfillment. The idea that if you work hard enough, things will inevitably go your way is something many of us are taught to believe. However, real success isn't about blind effort, it's about taking the right steps, staying open to opportunity, and allowing life to unfold in its own time. The problem with forcing things is that it creates resistance. It's like trying to untangle a knot. No matter how hard you pull, the tighter it gets. Imagine trying to fall asleep. You can't force yourself to sleep, right? The more you try, the more restless you become. But the moment you relax, let go, and trust that sleep will come, it happens naturally. The same principle applies to success, relationships, and even personal growth. Taking action is essential, yes, but just as important is the ability to trust the process. Take the example of a farmer planting seeds. The farmer prepares the soil, plants the seeds, waters them, and ensures they get enough sunlight. But after that, the farmer doesn't dig up the seeds every day, demanding that they grow faster. Instead, they trust that in time, the crops will flourish. If they tried to rush the process, they'd only damage what they planted. Life operates in a similar way. You take action, you do your part, but then you have to trust that things will develop at their own pace. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply when he wrote, "What we do now echoes in eternity." He recognized that we don't control everything, but we can choose how we respond. Life will unfold as it should, and the key is to take aligned action without trying to force every outcome. This approach is not about being passive, but about having the wisdom to know when to push forward and when to let go. This concept applies to every aspect of life. Think about relationships, for example. Have you ever met someone who tried too hard? Maybe they were overly eager, texting too much, or constantly seeking reassurance. Their energy felt heavy, almost desperate. On the other hand, there's the person who is calm, confident, and shows interest, but also gives space. Their energy feels light and natural, and they effortlessly attract others because they aren't forcing anything. This is the power of aligned action. When you trust the process, you create space for things to flow in. You don't suffocate the process with unnecessary pressure. You allow it to unfold naturally. Now, think about your career. Perhaps you've been hustling, trying to force every opportunity to come your way, but nothing seems to be moving forward. What if, instead of panicking, you trusted that your work was enough? What if you focused on being excellent at what you do, building meaningful connections, and allowing the right doors to open when they're meant to? This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you stop trying to control every outcome. Instead, you trust that your efforts will eventually bear fruit, and the right opportunities will come when the time is right. The Stoics often spoke about the power of patience and trust. Seneca, for instance, said, "True love is not about possession or control. It's about letting things unfold naturally." This mindset is not only a source of peace, but also a source of power. When you let go of the need to control everything, you allow life to unfold in the most beautiful and unexpected ways. As you move forward, remember, action is necessary, but force is not. Trust in your efforts, trust in the process, and most importantly, trust in yourself. You'll see that when you stop trying to control every outcome, life begins to work in your favor. As we continue on this journey, we'll dive deeper into how you can align your actions with your purpose, and how the Stoics' wisdom can guide you in finding the balance between effort and surrender. Stay with us, because the next step will reveal how to cultivate this balance in your daily life. Taking purposeful, smart action is crucial in creating the life you want, but the real power comes when you trust the process. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Do what you must, and let what happens happen." This is the essence of aligned action. Focus on what you can control: your efforts, your discipline, your mindset, and then release the obsession over the results. Because the truth is, no matter how much you plan or how hard you push, there will always be things outside your control. The more you resist this fact, the more stressed and frustrated you become. Life has a rhythm and flow that doesn't always match our own expectations. But the Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, understood that true power lies not in controlling everything, but in mastering ourselves. So, how can you begin to practice this in your everyday life? First, get clear on your goal and take the necessary steps. Prepare, train, learn, and do your part. This is the action. You can control the effort you put in, the mindset you adopt, and the habits you build. But then, second, let go of the need to control when and how the results will show up. The timing of your success isn't always up to you, and the more you try to control it, the more frustrated you'll become. As Epictetus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This is the heart of Stoic wisdom. It's not about manipulating the world around you, but about mastering your internal reactions to it. Third, trust in your own resilience. Even if things don't go exactly as you planned, you'll adapt, you'll grow, and along the way, you'll find new opportunities that you never imagined before. Life is dynamic, and success is not always linear. The Stoics understood this, and that's why they were never afraid of obstacles. They saw them as opportunities for growth, not signs of failure. At the end of the day, life is not about controlling every outcome. It's about mastering yourself. When you shift your focus from chasing to aligning, from forcing to flowing, everything starts to fall into place. You're no longer fighting against the current of life. You're learning to ride it. This is the core message of Stoic philosophy, and it's just as relevant today as it was in ancient times. The Stoics knew this truth centuries ago, and now it's yours to apply it. So take a deep breath, trust the process, and remember, true power doesn't come from external circumstances, it comes from within. If this video resonated with you, there's another one on the screen right now that will take you even deeper into the world of Stoic wisdom. Click on it and keep learning. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you never miss a new insight. Thank you for being part of this journey at the Stoic 17. I'll see you in the next one. This is exactly what the Stoics taught. Embrace it and let it guide you toward a life of resilience, peace, and fulfillment.